Hey everybody, this is Fred from Sinsenam and you're watching CMS TV.
In 2016, everything just went to hell with Alexi, and then the remaining time in the band is like, that you're watching your friend like commit a slow suicide. With his addictions that he shouldn't drink, he shouldn't do this and this, and he keeps doing it daily, and you're like, fuck, this is not gonna end well. So that is not fun.
No, I don't imagine. Is there, and I'll just ask it, and if it's too much, just tell me shut the fuck up. But is there, looking back, is there things that you wish, and Janne, this is obviously for you, who was in the band for a long time, are there things you wish you would have done that you think could have changed things? Do you wish you guys would have all said, no, we're not going to do this if you're fucked up? Or was it just not that kind of situation where you could put your foot down that hard?
No, yes and no, because at the same time, what I've then later on learned about addictions is that because he didn't want help, he refused all help. So you can't, a grown man who's decided kind of to die by his addictions, you can't help a person like that. They've made up their mind, and I don't think he wanted to die, but that's what he was doing. So it's crazy, and you try to help, but and also he said it to me, and he made it perfectly clear that he's not gonna get sober ever again, and he's just gonna whatever. So yes and no. There's of course things that could have been handled differently, but in the end, if a grown man decides to die by their addictions, that's what they're gonna do. If they're gonna refuse all help and they've fucking made their mind, that's what's gonna happen.
Okay, well, I have to ask off of that, what keeps you in the band? If he said that to you, why do you stay?
This is now the very end, in 2016 to 2019, when he said that to me. I started making other plans and removing myself from the band, and it got so confusing. There's a book coming out about Bodom that explains everything, by the way. But I announced that I'm gonna leave the band in 2018, or when was it, and whatever. So it got so fucking confusing with Alexi, and and then there was better times and it was just a fucking mess.
CHRIS Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, we are going to be highlighting one of the best records of the entire year so far, the Band of Brothers. And we've got with us the two brothers of Warmen, Janne and Antti Wirman. How are you guys?
We're good. How are you?
Good.
And thank you for the kind words, sir.
Well, you guys made it easy. It's a lot harder when somebody hands us a pile of garbage and is like, okay, now make us sound good. But this record slams, man. Band of Brothers. I'm just gonna be honest. I only kind of know you guys from Children of Bodom, obviously. And so I didn't know what to expect. And I went back and I listened to the older stuff after. But even listening to the older stuff and now this is a sonic jump for you guys. And I think you probably agree. You guys really, really, it's more intense, it's more heavy, and the song structuring, I guess, is more crisp. So let's start there, man. Why don't you guys kind of lead us into this record and tell us what makes this record so much stronger than what you've been doing as Warmen?
Well, the previous record led us to this because the lineup got exactly the same lineup on the previous album, Here for None, Warmen and Here for None, and so that was our first attempt at this new, more heavier sound. But then now that we have had this lineup for a couple of years and we've been touring and we've been and also we were writing songs together this time and stuff like that. So now it all got really heavy. We were not. I was gonna go and hey, okay, let's take it a little easier. And then last record was pretty brutal. Let's take it a little. but no, we went heavier, which is crazy at this age, and whatever. So So yeah, that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe because of now that we knew that Pete is going to sing on this album too, we knew how to write stuff for him to sing. Because
Sure.
last time we didn't even know who is going to sing the songs, but this time we knew.
Sure. Well, you mentioned Pete, and his vocals are, you know, it kind of adds like a modern flavor that maybe wasn't there the last time. So with that, does that change how you guys write music, because you know you have new elements that maybe you didn't write for before, or you're writing to those elements, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, it did change, and yeah, that's why, like you just mentioned, that's one of the reasons the new album is so. Also, it's so you know, together a bit more. It's more concentrated than the previous album, because we knew the whole time that we are writing the songs for Pete's vocals, because last time that wasn't the case. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons why it is like it is.
Sure. Now let me ask. Obviously, you know, Bodom is no more. Does this kind of are you guys just doing this band now, where you put more focus into it, or are you like every other musician I know that still has 30 other bands that are, you know, that you're working with?
No, this is the only band I'm working with.
For me too, yeah.
Yeah, we all know that Pete is in NC Ferrum, but for the rest of us, this is pretty much the only band I mean, I don't have time, and I'm not interested in being a full-time musician anymore and stuff like that. So yeah, all of our energy goes into this, and yeah, and we have a lot of fun doing this, you know, because we were touring quite a lot with the previous release here in Finland and a little bit around Europe, and you know, it was fun. It was fun.
Sure. Well, let's dig into the record, guys. Obviously, the title track is the focus track here, Band of Brothers. Great song. Boy, it kicks you in the face the second you turn it on, that's for sure. Tell us a little bit about this song and why you guys chose it as not only the lead track, but the title track.
I think this was the first song that we wrote for this album. And
Yeah.
we knew that it has some elements that it could be the first single as well, and
We recognized that it had potential, and we somehow made our minds that, okay, as soon as we finished writing this song, we were like, okay, this is going to be the #1 track, which is kind of weird because, you know, of course we wrote a bunch of songs after that, and maybe we should have gone back and thought about, well, is this maybe a better lead track or not? But somehow we made our minds already right when we wrote this song that, hey, this is going to be the #1 track.
yes,
Which is weird and possibly unprofessional, but we do not know.
we are not professionals.
Nice. Well, from what I read in the press, so we'll take that for whatever that means, but you guys recorded in various locations around Finland before kind of putting it all together in one place. Can you talk a little bit about that process? Why go to different places? Did they offer different things or different sound recording, or what was it?
No, it's convenience. There's only one big main commercial recording studio in Finland, Finvox. So if you want a quality drum sound, I mean, you need a big room and a big studio, right? So we go to Finvox to record drums, but then because of the music technology nowadays, we are currently sitting in Antti's home studio. I have a studio at home, so everything else, like you probably know, you can do in your own recording facilities nowadays. So we did the guitars and vocals and basses and keyboards in our own locations, and then we went back to Finvox for mixing. So back to a real commercial studio, a real professional did the mixing, but you know, the recording in between we did ourselves.
Sure. Hey, it's Chris Akin from the classic metal show Chris Akin Presents and the Seth Williams Show, straight from the uncensored heart of the CMS network. We've just been crowned a certified Rumble creator, and that means we're bringing the heat. All our shows, commercial free, baby. Advance episode drops sometimes months before the normal release, so you're not stuck waiting. You'll get all this plus exclusive content for Rumble Premium subscribers that'll blow your mind. And with Rumble Premium, you'll get every CMS Network show and all of Rumble's other videos with no ads and no fluff. This is our official home, Rumble. It's raw, powerful, and unfiltered. You want in? Just hit us up at rumble.com/register/classic metal show to sign up for free commenting, chat live, and just your ability to join the chaos of all of our shows. Then while you're there, swing by any of our videos, smash that Rumble Premium button, and level up. Subscribe now. Don't sleep on this. Hit the link in the description. Do you like recording kind of all over the place and throwing things in, or would you rather get in a room and just rock it out?
I've always loved, but I love recording drums. I mean, in the big studio we went to, I had an assistant, but I mic'd up the drums and I dialed in the sound, and I was, doing the recording for the drums, and I love that. I love that process, and it's the only part of recording nowadays where you get to set up multiple microphones and multiple channels and multiple lines, and so yeah, I love recording and especially recording drums is great. Right
on. Well, another tune I wanted to ask you guys about was When Doves Cry Blood. Great song. I have no idea what it means, which is one of the questions I'm going to ask you is what that means.
Yeah.
Do either of you know, or did it just sort of come together?
It's of course a Prince song reference, but then with blood in it, and to make it metal. So, and no one knows what the fuck the lyric means. Death comes from the skies, and then what? I don't know. So we do not know. But yes, that's what it is. But it's a great song. I like it too because it's this mid-tempo. It's not a slow song. It's kind of our attempt at a slow song, but it's not a slow enough. So it's kind of this mid-tempo, but it's like this brutal mid-tempo thingy. I like it a lot too. Yeah.
Right on. And then one last one of the ones that I'm just going to crow over. I love March or Die. Great song. Cool. Yeah. And it's kind of deeper in the record too, so that you like, for me anyway, it's like, I love what I'm hearing, and all of a sudden I get taken back to the level of the first and second tune. Right. Tell me about that song.
Well, I think it's different in a way because it's in triplets, so
yeah,
it makes kind of different vibe to the whole listening process when that song comes up.
Yeah,
I think it's also pretty heavy song.
Yeah, and I think you can hear a lot of Bodom influence on that song. Some of the riffing, not in a bad way, I hope. But yeah, I like that one too. And it's kind of mandatory to have one triplet song on every album. so this was our triplet choice this time, and I think it really works. It works.
Sure. And then one last song to talk about. You obviously covered the Stradivarius tune, "A Kiss of Judas," which is a cool idea, and I love the idea of. Well, let me just put it this way: Stradivarius is not the heaviest band in the world. I mean, I love them. Don't get me wrong, but they're not what you guys do, which is what makes this even more cool. Is that you kind of took a song that's out of your comfort zone a little bit and made it your own. What made you choose this specific song, and do you feel like you changed it enough to give it the Warmen stamp?
We do, and we were discussing ideas for a cover song, and we wanted to do something fun this time because our cover song on the previous album fucking sucked, so that was a mistake and a half. But we ran out of time and whatever. But so we wanted to do a good cover this time, and I realized that I was in a band for the second time where everyone is kind of a fan of the early Stradivarius. When we were kids, when I was like 18, we were all looking up to Stradivarius. They were already touring Japan, and we were like, man, they're big, and hope to do that someday, and whatever. So the episode and Visions era Stradivarius is very important for all of us, and I realize it's the same thing with the current lineup of Warmen. We all love that stuff, so we decided to cover it, and also cover it in a way that it's it really honors the original, not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not we're not making fun of anyone. So we wanted to just turn it into as brutal of a version we can, so that it's kind of within the style we do nowadays, like you mentioned. So yeah.
Right on. Do you guys find, and I always find this, I'm curious if you see it living on the other side of the world here. Do you guys see that what is the bands that become super popular, legendary, or whatever are very different between Europe and here? Because I'll tell you, Stradivarius, everybody knows them here. There's not a lot of people that are like, oh my God, that's one of the elite bands. But I do know that in Europe, Stradivarius is one of those more elite bands. It's kind of weird how we all share music, but we all react to it differently by where we live. Right. Do you guys see that as well?
I see it. I see it, and I have a theory. Within some European bands, I feel like the lyrics and the pronunciation of the English is sometimes a bit hindering. You know what I mean? So maybe some of the bands don't get as big in the US as they do in Europe, just mainly because of the lyrical content. And, sometimes the English of the, the singer's output,
pronunciation, right?
Yes. So that's my theory, and then Stradivarius may or may not fall into that category of my thinking. But that's definitely one factor of why some bands could be bigger in Europe and not big in the States.
I think him was the only band from Finland that has really made it in US because of.
Yes,
he knew how to.
Right, I agree. I have a lot of respect for him, and it wasn't like my, the music is, not brutal enough, but but it's a brilliant fucking band, and the singing was top notch. The lyrics were great. The English is all pronounced well. That's why him became so big in US, because it's so well made. And that's why I have a lot of respect for the band Him from Finland, because they're one of the only ones who actually made it big in the US.
Sure. Let me ask, this is a dumb question. It doesn't even have to do with any of this, but over in Finland, in Europe, wherever, when you turn on a radio or you go to whatever is the medium, is all of the music in English, or is most of it in the native language of the country you're in?
Well,
it depends on the radio station.
Yeah. I mean, if we listen to rock stations, it's mostly in English. Yeah. Metal or rock channels or stations are mostly 90% in English, luckily. But then, of course, there's the local pop shit, which is always in your native, and that's, what you don't.
We don't like that.
We don't want to hear that anymore.
You don't go to that station anyway, right?
No.
Nice. Well, guys, obviously, let's take it back to Warmen here. It has evolved from what I guess was more of like a side project to a full-fledged project. So for you guys, what was it that pushed it over? Was it the Bodom ending? Was it the music got better, or the ideas became more concise, or the lineup got more, or what?
Right. I mean, it was definitely the end of Bodom, because all up till that point, I enjoyed making the brutal music with Bodom, and with my side project, then I just did whatever goofy power metal I felt like doing, or whatever, But then after the ending of Bodom, we didn't have no one is out there making that kind of music that we love, and we were like, fucking, we got to do this after some years of not doing anything. And we got back together and started writing songs, and they came out heavy and brutal, and we were like, okay, we got to do this. And so yeah, it's definitely for me personally, it's the biggest thing that Bodom doesn't exist anymore. Bodom doesn't make albums anymore, so I have to have some outlet for all this brutal shit.
Right.
Welcome to the ultimate experience for hard rock and heavy metal fans. Introducing the CMS Locals VIP app, your #1 destination for all things on the CMS network. Dive into the classic metal show, CHRIS Akin Presents, Seth Williams Show, and more, all in one place. It's free to get started or elevate your experience with a subscription for just $4.99 a month. Go commercial free, get advanced releases, and enjoy exclusive bonus episodes. Plus, it's the prime spot to chat with like-minded fans who love raw, uncensored commentary. Are you ready to rock? Download from your iOS or Android store, search for the CMS network, and join the community now. It's free, it's easy, and it's the best way to keep our shows with you every single day. Install the locals.com app today and follow the CMS network.
Well, I want to ask you guys both this, but I want you guys to answer it individually, if you would.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the end of Bodom, and I'm not going to turn this into a whole Bodom thing, but you know, it's no secret that Alexi was going through some really bad shit, and you know, and obviously couldn't overcome it. And you both were there during that. How difficult was it for you each individually? And I think I want to start with Antti first, just because he was kind of the other half of the guitar sound there at that point live. How hard was it for you guys to do your best when you're looking across, knowing the personal turmoil and the problems that were going on with Alexi?
Yeah. Well, at the point when I was playing with the Bodom guys, it wasn't maybe that bad yet, but
Okay.
it was going there.
Yeah.
Because, but anyways, I always thought that it's not my business to get involved with that situation anyway, because I'm just going to do my job for 1 year and then go and do something else. But
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were kind of a hired gun, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also when Antti was in the band, because you know for years and years Alexi's problems went away, and then maybe he got a little better and whatever, and you got your share of seeing how he can be when he's really bad.
yeah,
But for the most of the time when Antti was in the band, Alexi was actually doing good.
yeah,
So
Okay.
so 90% of those shows were just fine.
yeah,
I think. But then right after when Antti quit and in 2016 everything just went to hell with Alexi, and then you know the remaining time in the band is like, you know, that you're watching your friend like commit a slow suicide.
Mhm.
You know with his addictions that he shouldn't drink, he shouldn't do this and this, and he keeps doing it daily, and you're like, fuck, this is not gonna end well. So that is not fun.
No, I don't imagine. Is there, and I'll just ask it, and you know, if it's too much, just tell me shut the fuck up. But
Yeah.
is there, looking back, is there things that you wish, and Janne, this is obviously for you, who was in the band for a long time. Are there things you wish you would have done that you think could have changed things? Do you wish you guys would have all said, no, we're not going to do this if you're fucked up? Or,
Right.
or was it just not that kind of situation where you could put your foot down that hard?
No, yes and no, because at the same time, what I've then later on learned about addictions is that because he didn't want help, he refused all help. So you can't, a grown man who's decided kind of to die by his addictions, you can't help a person like that. They've made up their mind, and they, I don't think he wanted to die, but that's what he was doing. So it's crazy, and you try to help, but and also he said it to me, and he made it perfectly clear that he's not gonna get sober ever again, and he's just gonna whatever. So yes and no. There's of course things that could have been handled differently, but in the end, if a grown man decides to die by their addictions, that's what they're gonna do. If they're gonna refuse all help and they've fucking made their mind, that's what's gonna happen.
Okay, well, I have to ask off of that, what keeps you in the band? If he said that to you, why do you stay?
Well, yeah, this is now the very end in 2016 to 2019. When he said that to me, I started making other plans and, removing myself from the band. And it got so confusing. There's a book coming out about Bodom that explains everything, by the way. But I announced that I'm gonna leave the band in 2018 or when was it and whatever. So it got so fucking confusing with Alexi, and and then there was better times and it was just a fucking mess. But yeah, of course I started to remove myself from the situation when I realized that it's never gonna get better. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's definitely unfortunate. Obviously, it's awful the way it went down, but I guess if there's a silver lining, and I'm certainly not trying to say that they're, it's great, he dead. Now here we got Warmen back. I don't want to say that, but if there is a silver lining, I guess it is that this project has solidified, and as you've moved forward, you're working with Warmen, which is fantastic. Now, Jan, you mentioned at the beginning here that you're kind of not a full-time musician. Does that mean that we're not gonna have tours or shows, or where are we at?
No, I mean, we're having so much fun with the band that we would like to tour more, and we would like to play more shows and whatever. Like I mentioned also earlier, that the only busy guy kind of is Petri with Ensiferum, and but around their touring, there's plenty of time for us to do more in the future. So we are hoping to slowly expand our operations.
At the same time, we are also just now watching the costs, how expensive it is to tour. It's insane.
I guess, I was away from the industry for a little bit, but it's no joke that the cost of touring kind of doubled during COVID and stuff like that. So it's also not the easiest and cheapest to make up your mind like, hey, let's go on tour now, because it is brutal out there. But
right, does that push you more toward, let's hit festival season, let's try to get on Wacken, Sweden Rock, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, and then just touring here in Finland has been very good for us, and we would like to slowly expand. We would like to tour Germany, then the Central Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah, now we just went to first time ever to Hungary for a festival, and then we are going to Switzerland, and
so we're slowly expanding the operation.
Right on, definitely. Well, guys, the record is fantastic. Band of Brothers, it's out August 15th. People should definitely buy it. Don't just stream it. Don't be lame. Buy the record. And guys, we tell people pretty much don't stream stuff. We're telling everybody to buy, whether it's a CD, download, whatever it is, a hat, a shirt, whatever. Yeah. Where do we tell them to go to buy Warmen product?
It's
our new store is open with Reaper right now.
Yeah, it's warmen/band.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a US store as well.
We have separate US store. You can find the link from our socials or Reaper site.
Yes.
It's just because it's then cheaper for US fans to buy stuff. It's based in US.
Yes.
Okay.
And exactly like you said, please buy a shirt if you want to support the band, really, because the streaming ain't doing anything.
Nothing.
Yeah. So
you don't like getting 1 million downloads and getting a check for $1?
No, that's not really. It really doesn't do it for me anymore, man.
I hear you. Well, guys, one more time. The album is called Band of Brothers. It is Warmen. August 15th. You should be pre-ordering it wherever you can pre-order it now, and then that way you'll get it. But definitely buy it. It's a great record. And Antti, Jan, thank you so much, man. This has been a great time here on CHRIS AKIN Presents.
Hey, thank you, Chris. And thank you so much for your kind words about the album. We are really proud of it. We like it too. I'm glad you liked it. And thank you for this interview.